So there are many benefits to having a data warehouse at the center of the enterprise architecture and essentially using that as your single source of truth for all of your data, including your customer 360, and then only routing the necessary data to your end destinations. First and foremost, what comes to my mind is security. This data warehouse is sitting inside your own cloud infrastructure, where when you're sending data to other platforms, that data is now leaving your infrastructure. And so you're really at the mercy of what are the security protocols of that particular company. So you have less control over it. Another consideration is cost. A lot of these platforms are usage based, sometimes based on how many rows they're ingesting. So if you're potentially sending every transaction that you've had from a given user, and that can be dozens of rows per user, only to then sum up the transaction column and be able to segment audience based on folks who have spent over $1,000 over some period of time. You instead could perform that aggregation in the data warehouse, knowing that that's your use case in the platform. Only send over not only just one row for users, but also only the users that qualify for that audience. So it can drastically reduce cost. Sort of similar to security, but more on the privacy side. When you're exposing highly sensitive data, like if you're trying to perform identity resolution and you may even be, for example, deduping on something as sensitive social security number or even just the birthday, right? If you wanted to have a marketing campaign to email folks whose birthday is this month, if you're using a composable architecture, you can just route an audience whose folks are birthday in August. And now your end destination does not have their name, email, and birthday, right? Because they just are only being sent a list of users, and then the marketer just implicitly knows that their birthday is in August and can properly target them. And the last benefit I'll say is for single source of truth. So essentially, if the marketers are using a certain platform and the sales organization is using a different platform, and maybe the technical operations is using a third platform. If you're starting to recreate the data in all three of those platforms, and then the executives come together for a meeting, it's very common that they may start to argue about whose data is correct, which is really unproductive and can cause a lot of distrust with the data. So by having this single source of truth in the data warehouse, it really helps for everybody to be looking at the same numbers and to have more productive meetings.